Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Good morning, good morning.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
Back from Vegas, John. Ready to party.
Oh, yeah, and most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day, and here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, that's when we take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or an issue you'd like us to address, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, we do reserve the right not to answer a question if we don't think it's appropriate. Go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the really good news about the tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're listening to this show later in the day on podcasts, say either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this show later in the day, you can still send in a question whenever you like. And if you send in a question to the tip link when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, before we get into it though, Rob, you were in Vegas this weekend. What were you doing and how was it?
Well, surprisingly, John, you might be surprised that I went to the yearly Star Trek convention, the Creation Trek to Las Vegas, and I did a panel, and it was quite fun. I got to see a lot of people, and a lot of people came up and told me they watched our show, and nice. I ran into one of my members of my own channel, Victor Griggs, and his mother, and Victor has faced a lot of hardships in his life. He has cerebral palsy, but he wrote a book about it. I think it's called Rolling Through Life, and he talks about overcoming these problems. I didn't know he was going to be at the convention, and I heard him talking out in the darkness. I'm like, is that you, Victor? So I got to sit down with him and his mom, and it was a lot of fun. But the highlight for me was seeing the 1/350th scale Tomy die-cast Klingon D7 battle cruisers that are currently being crowdfunded, and they're making two different ones, and you got to get them both.
Did you bump into Scott? Because our friend Scott
I did.
Mance is there every year.
Scott Mance was there. He was hosting a few. I saw him right when we were going to dinner, because you can't not see Scott Mance. And, of course, he had to tell me that he differs from our opinion on Superman.
Yes, yeah.
And
several people do.
Wow, that was Johnny on the spot. There you go. This is crowdfunding right now. It lights up. They had the prototype on display. I don't think the lights are in here. But, the Klingon D7 from the third season of the original series. Come on.
It looks pretty damn good. Anyway, guys, we got a whole bunch of stuff we got to cover here today. So let's not waste any time and get right to it. We're going to start with this. Now, of course, the industry is still not fully recovered from the 1-2 combination punch that it took from the pandemic, then followed not too long after that by the double strike that shut the industry down. The strikes were very contentious, not just between the unions and the studios and the fans, but also between some union members themselves. And the fallout from those strikes is still continuing as iconic filmmaker Park Chan-Wook and writer and actor Don McKellar,
good Canadian man,
have both been ostracized. They've been excommunicado by the WGA. The Writers Guild of America has thrown them out of the union for working on Robert Downey Jr.'s project, The Sympathizer, while the strike was going on. The folks over at Deadline wrote the following. They said, the Robert Downey Jr. produced and starring The Sympathizer came and went last year with a lot less fanfare than many expected due to the no one talks about it anymore.
No.
And it wasn't bad.
No.
It was pretty good. Anyway, with a lot less fanfare than many expected due to the talent involved and the fact that the miniseries was based on Viet Thanh Nguyen's Pulitzer Prize winning novel of the same name. However, some unexpected fallout from the Emmy-nominated Park Chan-Wook and Don McKellar created and written high-profile project emerged today from the Writers Guild of America West. And it really isn't pretty. The acclaimed Old Boy director, by the way, also one of the filmmakers behind Snowpiercer, that a lot of people love, and multiple Genie Award winner have both been expelled from the WGA. Goes on to say this: the ejection is a result of Park and McKellar crossing a pretty big line. In contradiction to all the rules of Hollywood labor best practices, the duo worked and wrote on the HBO miniseries during the 2023 strike that saw Scribes and Guild and SAG-AFTRA bring Hollywood to a halt for almost 6 months. The consequences that Park and McKellar now have suffered, as was revealed by the WGA West in a missive to members today, is the harshest the Guild can bring down on members, and in this case, some very high-profile members. All right, couple of interesting things about this. Number one is that it took them this long to adjudicate this. I mean, this is slower than the U.S. legal system. I mean, it seemed pretty cut and dry. Did they work on and write during the strike? Yeah. Okay, well then we got to figure out what the sanctions are. Maybe it took them a long time to figure out the sanctions. The other interesting thing is that these aren't just two newbie scribes trying to break into Hollywood, writing their latest masterpiece in Starbucks. Like, these are established Hollywood filmmakers, right? Especially in the case, you know, when you're talking about careers and overall stuff like that, especially in the case of Park Chan-Wook, who has developed some majorly high profile stuff. But the WGA is not messing around. We all as a union agreed, this is what we're going to do. And while everybody else sat out, you worked. And you worked on a project. And I mean, I don't know what their other options here were, Rob. I mean, I guess you could find them. I suppose you could find them.
Did they both direct on that show? Were they also?
I can't remember.
Because one's Canadian.
Which wouldn't be a problem with the WGA if they directed, because again, the Directors Guild wasn't on strike.
Right.
But they wrote.
Yeah.
And they're members of the WGA.
I mean, yeah. To me, it's like we have heard stories of underlings being ejected, and it's like, we got rules. It would be really unfair to have these people who are up and comers to just, you don't know their name, so it's easy to eject them. But if someone's famous and has money or influence, we'll make
different rules for them.
Yeah.
Not the case here. Like, my first thought was, this seems rather extreme, like throwing them, because listen, not being a member of the WGA, Rob, you know this. This carries major repercussions for them in their careers and what projects they can and cannot work on in the future.
Right.
Major problems.
Especially studio movies.
Yes.
I mean, all the studios
the
are WGA
studios can't work with them now.
Right.
So my first thought was, this seems a little harsh, like maybe a fine, but then I thought about it. If you're trying to create a deterrent and you just fine these guys, here's what's going to happen during the next strike. Writers are going to look and say, well, I'm not supposed to work right now, but you know what? I'll do it. And what's the worst that can happen? I'll lose out on the money I made working on it, but maybe I won't get caught. I mean, I guess that the punishment has to be severe to be a deterrent. But anyway, Rob, you saw this as somebody who has worked with many members of the WGA. You and I both know many members of the WGA. What do you think about this move that they took today?
Oh, I think it's harsh, but I'm curious because Park Chan-Wook is South Korean and Don McKellar is Canadian. And this is the Writers Guild of America. So obviously they've done it. So they were members of the WGA. So I'm curious, though, about how, Park Chan-Wook has made some incredible films. He also made an incredible horror short called Dumplings, that if you haven't seen it, it's delightful. And I wonder about, and Don McKellar I've always liked both as an actor and as a filmmaker. I think he directed a movie called Last Night, which is literally about the last night on Earth before the Earth ends.
I remember that one. I saw that one.
Cronenberg's in it, and it's I think he directed it. But yeah, this is hardcore. So
By the way, sorry, this is Ishmael. In Last Night, they never do say what's ending the world.
They never do.
They never do. Yeah.
But David Cronenberg plays a guy who works for the power company, and he's calling every single customer. I want to thank you for your customer, for being a customer of the power. And he's trying to get through the entire list before the world ends. But yeah, I really like that movie. But I'm curious. I would love to follow up and find out more about this. Like, how did the decision go down? Just to figure out what it was their thinking. I mean, obviously they worked during the strike. That's it. It's kind of cut and dry. You either did or you didn't, and they did. But I'm curious, does the fact that they're foreign nationals count for something? Are there exceptions?
Well, I mean,
don't
like
know.
Park can still work in like South Korea. He can,
Yeah, most
right?
of his movies are Korean.
Where it's not,
anyway.
it doesn't matter if you're a member of the WGA or not. He can still work on that
Sure.
stuff. But again, as far as his Hollywood,
Yeah, I mean, I'm
future.
wondering if, but even if he makes a movie, let's say he writes and directs a South Korean film, and a domestic studio wants to acquire it, can
I
they?
don't know if they're allowed to.
Yeah, that's what I'd be curious to see if that's the case.
They might have to acquire it after.
Anyway, guys,
yeah.
question is for you. What do you think about this? Like Jonathan was pointing out, like we're used to seeing punishments being handed down to underlings. These are high profile dudes being kicked out of the WGA, completely affecting their ability or now inability to work on Hollywood films moving forward. Whatever you make of this, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, this is no surprise. Warner Brothers just announced that they are going to be doing Final Destination 7. Now, of course, that is not a surprise because the film did extremely well, especially when you consider its production budget. I am, even somebody like me, I'm not a fan of the Final Destination franchise. Not a fan. Loved this film. I loved Bloodlines. I thought it was so much fun. I just couldn't believe Ann and I had an absolute blast with it. But it's also not a big coincidence that it comes right on the heels of Weapons doing well.
Sure.
At the box office, also for Warner Brothers at the same time. By the way, see, Warner Brothers just set like a Hollywood record, I think. It was, for a major studio and distributor, it's 6 films in a row that have opened to over $40 million, and I don't think that's ever happened before.
Wow.
I could be misreading that, but I think they're saying that's a record now for a studio. Anyway.
You go, Warner Brothers.
You go, Warner Brothers. Anyway, jumping back over to this thing, the good folks over at IndieWire write the following. They say the Bloodline was not the final destination after all. On August 8th, New Line and Warner Brothers announced via Variety that Final Destination 7 is officially now in the works, complete with Final Destination Bloodline's co-writer Laurie Evans Taylor on board. Also, returning are producers Craig Perry, Sheila Hannon, Taylor, John Watts, Diane McGonigal, I think so, and Toby Emmerich. Warren Zide will serve as the executive producer. The news comes as the studio has yet announced, let me try this again. The news comes as the studio has yet another horror hit on their hands with Weapons, the latest from Barbarian director Zach Krieger, who we are going to talk about a couple of times on today's show. In its opening weekend, Weapons amassed an estimated $42.5 million, way over estimations, at the domestic box office, an impressive debut for a movie that cost $38 million. Anyway, the focus here is, of course, Final Destination. And look, what is considered gold in Hollywood is viable IP. If you have viable IP, Smurfs is an IP, but it's clearly not viable IP.
Not when they do it like that.
No, not when they do it like that. Accountant Smurf says, we lost money. Anyway. So, Final Destination, I honestly thought was no longer viable IP. And for a long time, Hollywood agreed. They never went back. It's been years since they made one. But I guess they saw the pitch for it. They thought this could be fun. They made it. And all of a sudden, what wasn't so viable is now very viable. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Predator with Prey.
Yeah.
Right? Or Aliens with Romulus. It's like you had these IPs that suddenly seemed very unviable, and then all of a sudden now these are hot commodities.
What do I always say? Your IP is only one successful movie away from being re-energized,
Yep, 100%.
revitalized.
And Final Destination did it, and I love that they're bringing back the co-writer of it to do it again. I'm actually all on board with it. I don't know what else you could do. Look. As much as I like Final Destination Bloodline, let's not pretend the sharp, introspective writing is what really got me on board, or the multi-layered narrative is what really drew me in. Nah, that's not the kind of experience this movie tries to be. It delivered something different, only this time it delivered it really, really well. The thrills, the jump scares, the laughs, it was all there, and it made for a really enjoyable time at the cinema. And I'll be there for 7. I don't know if it'll suck like some of the other ones or if it'll be great like Bloodlines, but I'm going to be there for it. Anyway, Rob, You say this, you see this. Is it a coincidence that they just happened to come out and make it official when Weapons is doing so well? But I don't know. What do you take away from this?
Well, I think it was probably that's another, but it's not just Weapons, it's Sinners.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got these original, and even though it didn't make the box office, I'm going to say Companion was also a New Line film, and that is another great horror title that Warner put out. It was also prophetic, this movie, because after this came out, there was an MRI machine that a guy got caught in it.
Yes.
There was an actual real. So not only, I mean, these movies are now prophetic. I think I'm just going to guess. The next movie should be Final Destination: 7 Deadly Sins.
Oh, come on. I love it.
Come on, man. It writes itself.
It kind of does. I like it. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? It is now official. They have announced Final Destination 7. Shouldn't come as a surprise, really, considering the success of number 6. Are you looking forward to it? For the first time in forever, I can say I'm looking forward to a new Final Destination film without seeing a preview for it first at CinemaCon.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Weapons was one of those films. It doesn't have it now, but for a long time, leading up to its release, it was holding that magical 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Finally, one person came along who didn't like it, and it broke that. And that's fine. No movie is for everybody. Totally cool. But we knew we had something special on our hands, especially coming from the director Barbarians. The problem was, it was running into an IP film in Freakier Friday that a lot of people, at least verbally, said that they were really looking forward to, tracked pretty well. Both films going into the weekend were tracking for around $30 million, with a slight edge being given to Freakier Friday. But Rob, last week you and I both said we thought that could top out around, we thought Weapons, which was being projected at the high end of 30. You and I both said we thought it could maybe hit 40.
Yeah.
Well, Weapons didn't just beat Freakier Friday, which is already unexpected. It dominated. It beat it by like 30-something%. The folks over at The Wrap writing, Weapons is another Warner Brothers box office win with 40. It's actually $42.5 million in its opening weekend. They wrote the following. The Warner Brothers box office streak continues. Riding a high wave since the release of a Minecraft movie 4 months ago, the studio's winning ways continue this weekend with New Line's Weapons, which earned $18.2 million opening day from 3,200 locations, including $5.7 million from previews, and putting it on course for a $40 million plus opening weekend. The sophomore film from director Zach Krieger is blowing past the performance of his debut film Barbarian, both financially and critically. I can thank Barbarian for that, in part. I mean, if Barbarian wasn't so well received, I don't know as many people would be as excited for Weapons. Barbarian, both financially and critically. Barbarian was glowingly received by critics, but was tepidly received by opening weekend audiences, received a C+ on CinemaScore, but then went on to become kind of a darling in its run after that. All right. So when we go over to the box office numbers, we can see that Weapons, remember, they said Weapons top was going to be 30. And Freakier Friday's lowest estimates were higher than Weapons. How did it work out? Well, like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Freakier Friday made right around estimates, made $29 million, nothing to sneeze at, good for them. But Weapons, man, Weapons way overperformed, pulling in $42.5 million on its opening weekend for this low budget. By the way, I did some math earlier. Weapons is now officially profitable already after its first weekend.
Yeah.
It's profitable after its first weekend. Worldwide, it has pulled together $70 million, which pushes it past its break-even mark. The production budget was 38. I believe the marketing budget was 18 million, which very small marketing
really
budget.
Low,
they just marketed it really well.
Yeah.
And they've crossed the break-even number already on their first weekend. So congratulations to them for that. Rob, we know, like we both said, the smart money was saying Freakier Friday. But we both knew that the potential upside for Weapons, considering the critic response was so massively high. We both said the ceiling could be much higher, could be around $40 million. It came in at that. I know you had some issues with the film, but I think you overall enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I loved the film personally myself. What do you think about these box office numbers, and what does it tell you, if anything at all?
Well, look, you know what? Again, I'm all about authorship, and this is an auteurist horror vision. A writer-director with the support, by the way, of our friend producer Roy Lee, you know, who was discovered Barbarian, and I mean, Zach Kreger's background is comedy. He was part of a comedy troupe. And a guy like Roy Lee takes it into Warner Brothers. You know, there was a bidding war. Jordan Peele was pissed. We talked about it, that he didn't get, his company didn't get this project. And Warner Brothers did. They put, again, the Pam Abdi, Mike DeLuca administration put their faith in this film. And they won. And what I love about this it's been a long time since I've seen a movie have this much discourse around it. There's all kinds of YouTube videos where people are analyzing it, talking about it, wondering about it. There's people that love it. There's people that don't love it. There's all kinds. And I love the fact that people are talking. Audiences are either excited about this movie, annoyed by this movie. It instills something in everyone.
You know what I saw? Talking about people are thinking about it.
Yeah.
I saw this thing where this guy broke down this theory and did it. I mean, if you're a good orator, you can make a good argument for a lot of things. That the person in Weapons is the same person from Blair Witch. And it's just like, I know, like, but I'm just saying, when I went through everything they're doing, like, damn, they make a compelling argument. Anyway, sorry.
But that's what's so great about this movie is it's got the fan base talking. You know, how often is it we see these movies and people, it sucked. You know, even people that don't like this movie very much are going out and making these long videos talking about what's happening. And it reminds me of the days of old when fans were excited. You know, they were excited to talk about something. This is original. Whether you like it or not, whether you think it's a classic or not. I love how some people think this is classic and others are like, this isn't that good. It's overrated. And everybody's but they're talking. They're excited to talk about something that's new. And, you know, Zach Kreger's probably laughing, I got Resident Evil cooking. I've got this space movie I want to make, or at least I want him to make it. I mean, he's look, whether you love Barbarian or not, and whether you love Weapons or not, he is a new voice on the scene, like the Ari Asters of the world, and like the Robert Eggers of the world, you know, and Robert Eggers coming off Nosferatu. I love seeing these guys, and let's get some girls into the mix. Let's see, you know, some female filmmakers do the same thing. I look forward to more female horror, more like The Substance. We had that well. You know, so we're living these films, everybody expects these films to be perfect, which is weird. These films, if they get you thinking and talking, not every film has to be like 100% the best thing you ever saw. This film is creating. Because, you know,
I've said this all the time. We live in everything's 10 out of 10 or 0 out of 10. Like, there's not, like, for a lot of film fans, there's nothing. It's either absolutely the best thing ever or it absolutely sucks.
Like when I was growing up, everything was varying degrees of awesome. They might, you know, I saw this really bad horror movie, but it was kind of awesome. You know, nowadays everything sucks. But when I was growing up, I would watch anything that had a hint. Anything science fiction, fantasy, or horror. If a monster would show up for 5 minutes at the end of the movie, I'd be like, that was pretty good. You know, I wouldn't care. It's like, just show me some stuff, man. But now, and look, I'm guilty of this occasionally as well. But I love the fact that this movie has got people talking. And that's cool. And that means people are looking at movie theaters again. They're having, like you say, experiential events. And when they come out of the theater, they want to talk about those experiences. They're not just walking away and forgetting about what they just saw. Because that way is death. I love that when people are seeing movies and talking about them, and it means that there's an effect going on that we haven't seen much.
Here's a question. What kind of, I honestly don't know. What kind of legs do you think this movie's going to have? Like, do you think word of mouth is going to spur people to come out and see it like next weekend and get other people to come with them?
Yes.
Or is this one of those films, and we've seen these happen before, where a lot of positive buzz got generated, so people who were interested went out to see it for the first weekend, but that's everybody who was interested. Like, what do you think's going to play out?
It's funny you ask. I've been thinking about this a lot, about the second weekend legs of this film, and because I've been thinking a lot about the discourse. Hell, I've contributed myself. I did an episode about this, but I think people are going to go see it. I think people are going to take their friends, the people that love it, and I even think the people that don't love it are going to go back and be like, "What am I missing?" And I will bet that it has less than a 50% drop in
Well, I mean,
for horror, that's usually there's a big drop because it's front loaded. Horror is front loaded.
to support your thesis, the only thing really that you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Jonathan, but the only thing I can think of that's opening up this week
You're right.
is Nobody 2.
You're right. Because I'm looking at the schedule right now.
And Nobody 2's tracking is soft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way,
Can't
I
wait.
ain't soft.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see Nobody
That's
2.
what she said, John.
But I mean, that could bode very well for Weapons. See how it does in its second weekend. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, Weapons came out and just absolutely dominated the box office. Good on them for doing it, way exceeding expectations. How well do you think it's going to keep going? I mean, the movie's already profitable, so it's already a win. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we got a number of other things that we're going to talk about here, more in depth and in discussion, but there's a bunch of other things that have gone on in the world of movie news that we want to make sure you're caught up on. It's not pre-recorded today, but we're going to do a quick rundown for you guys.
We'll do it live.
We're doing live, damn it, of a little thing we call the movie news feed. All right. We're going to start off here with some Star Trek news. Simon Pegg, who portrays Scotty in the Kelvin Timeline Star Trek films, which are great, by the way, and co-wrote
God.
Star Trek Beyond, shared the Star Trek Las Vegas Trek to Vegas 2025 convention, where you were just at, by the way, that he would love to return for another Star Trek movie, expressing optimism given the fact that new Paramount CEO David Ellison is reportedly a big fan of the franchise. Pegg reflected on the emotional impact of Anton Yelchin's passing, yet spoke warmly of the camaraderie among the cast and the possibility of reuniting with colleagues like Zoe Saldana, Carl Urban, Chris Pine, and John Cho. He also mentioned that J.J. Abrams has already told them that scripts are in development and that Pegg speculated it might be fitting to revisit the characters about 10 years after the 5-year mission.
Nice.
The look of enthusiasm on Rob's face right now is unbelievable.
The cool thing about the Kelvin is
it's almost like nuclear energy radiating off the enthusiasm.
Yeah, well, or he's taking in radiation.
Enthusiasm.
The nice thing about the Kelvin world is just that it fixed all the problems of Star Trek.
It fixed every problem with that horrible Star Trek series. All right,
It was so boring.
let's keep going here.
I love Star Trek.
I like your shirt, though.
Next up,
Oh, yeah.
Apple TV has unveiled the first look at Mr. Scorsese, the 5-part documentary series directed by Rebecca Miller that will premiere on October 17th, 2025. The film offers unprecedented, unrestricted access to Martin Scorsese's private archives and features in-depth interviews with the director himself alongside a who's who of his collaborators over the years, including Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jodie Foster, Steven Spielberg, and Mick Jagger, as well as his wife, Helen Morris, children and childhood friends as well. Among its highlights is a revisiting account of Scorsese's fierce struggle with Columbia Pictures over Taxi Driver's violent content, so intense that he joked about getting a gun and breaking into the studio to take back his film. I can't wait to watch this. I understand Scorsese comes across sometimes as the old man mad that you're stepping on his lawn, but he is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, and the stories that I'm sure could be told here, I can't wait to watch this. All right. We move on to the next one, if I can find it. There we go. Netflix has released the first look at season 2 of its live-action One Piece series, subtitled The Grand Line, which will follow Luffy and his Straw Hats as they embark on a perilous and wondrous adventures in search of the legendary One Piece treasure. While no official release date has been announced, Season 2 is expected to debut sometime in 2026. But here's the big part. Season 3 has already been greenlit. with production slated to begin later this year in Cape Town, South Africa. Series writer Ian Stokes, who penned The Man in the Straw Hat and co-wrote The Girl with the Sawfish Tattoo, joins Joe Trax as showrunner, and Stokes will co-write the season 2 premiere, beginning and the end, alongside Matt Owens. You know what? I've had a lot of people for a long time saying, John, we know you're not generally a huge anime fan, but you should really watch One Piece. All right, I tried watching One Piece. Not for me. But then I decided I'll give the live action series a shot. Loved it. I loved it. I had a great time with the live action series. I'm not really a fan of the animated one, but to my shock and surprise, I love this, and I cannot wait to see season 2. All right. Next up, going to talk some Jackie Chan. On August 10th, Chan took part in a public panel discussion reflecting on his storied 6-decade career. Speaking candidly, he criticized modern Hollywood's creative approach, lamenting that many big studios now prioritize profits over artistry, calling them business guys rather than true filmmakers, and claiming it's becoming very difficult to make a good movie under such constraints. Jackie Chan's an OG. Jackie Chan's a legend. I would push back on him a little bit when he says studios now prioritize profits over artistry by saying, Jackie, that has always been the case.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a child. It's just that sometimes there are seasons when artistry can prevail a little bit more, but make no mistake, no studio in the world at any point in history said, oh, you got a fantastic artistic film? Great. Oh, it's guaranteed to lose us $200 million? No, thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always been part of the reality, but
we were never meant to have The Godfather. Somehow it worked out.
Yeah, somehow it happened though. All right. Next up, I love this. Eddie Murphy, speaking of Jackie Chan, recently revealed that he turned down the role in Rush Hour that Chris Tucker went on to perform opposite Jackie Chan. You want to know why he turned it down? Because he decided he thought Holy Man was the better film for him to do. Shooting that in Miami. A decision he now regrets as a misstep, joking that although the choice seemed like a no-brainer now, it resulted in what he calls a horrendous movie, being his Holy Man. Rush Hour ultimately went on to become a blockbuster franchise starring Chris Tucker, while Holy Man underperformed both critically and commercially, grossing $12 million worldwide on a $60 million budget, and is considered one of Eddie Murphy's biggest flops alongside The Adventures of Pluto Nash. Look, Jackie Chan and Eddie Murphy together in Rush Hour would have been gold, but I got to say this. As somebody who is not really a Chris Tucker fan, he was great in the Rush Hour. Even the Rush Hour films that I didn't like, his chemistry with Jackie Chan was fantastic. And I just don't know that Eddie Murphy, while a better, I think, performer, I don't know that him and Jackie would have had that same magic chemistry, because Chris Tucker and Jackie had a great chemistry together. So even though I didn't like 2 of the 3 movies, I love one of them. I still think it probably worked out for the best. And all right, finally, we'll look at this. It looks like the new Game of Thrones series has gotten a renewal for season 2 and 3 already. HBO's A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, based on George R.R. Martin's Dunk and Egg novellas, is currently in post-production following months of filming last year and reshoots this summer. With its first season now scheduled to premiere in winter of 2026, likely January or February, reliable insiders' sources claim that HBO has already renewed the series for seasons 2 and 3. Each expected to consist of 6 episodes lasting 30 to 35 minutes. Series author George R.R. Martin has expressed enthusiasm for the completed 6 episodes, praising the cast performances and hinting at exciting character introductions, while HBO executive Francesca Orsi previously noted that the series is being envisioned as a 3-episode or a 3-season arc to fit the 3 novellas. Now, normally, I hate shows that are like 30 to 35 minutes, especially when it's streaming, and 6 episodes. But these are not being based on giant George R.R. Martin novels. They're based on shorter stories. So it kind of makes sense for that. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Knights of the Seven Kingdom.
I'm in.
Yep. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's news feed. All right. With that all down, guys, let's move on to our next main topic here, shall we? And that one is this. K-pop demon hunters kind of taking over the world right now. We talked about it briefly before. I'm not a fan of the movie. I didn't think it was terrible. I don't think it's all that good. But even I who's somebody that doesn't think the movie's all that good, I'm obsessed with the music in it.
Huh.
And even more so obsessed with the music videos. I actually caught myself. I looked at my watch. I couldn't believe it. I spent about an hour and a half straight this weekend watching vocal coaches' reactions to the song Golden that's in K-Pop Demon Hunter. And the video is great. The video is great. This is what it sounds like. Not When Doves Cry, but another one from the fantastic Dun Dun Dun. Fantastic. I'm completely obsessed. Even though I don't like the movie, I'm obsessed with the musical score in it and the music videos. I think they're great. Well, last week, Rob, I don't know if you remember this. You and I said, you know what they should do? They should, Netflix should get its head out of its own ass. They should. I can't even imagine how much money they lost out on. How much money did Netflix lose out on and leave on the table by not having this film in theaters? It's astronomical. But we said they should take their heads out of their asses and put a sing-along version like Wicked did. Put that out in theaters. I bet you'll sell out. Well, somebody was watching, because according to the folks over at Cinema Blend, K-Pop Demon Hunters is heading to the theaters after breaking a bunch of streaming records, but there's a catch, and it's not a big catch. It's one you would expect anyway. Anyway, they write the following. They say K-Pop Demon Hunters, let me see if I can get this bigger for you guys. K-Pop Demon Hunters has been on the global Netflix top 10 for 7 weeks in a row now, making it not only the most successful Netflix 2025 releases, but one of the biggest Netflix original films of all time, and by far their biggest original animated film of all time. Following all the records has been breaking of late, the animated movie is officially coming to theaters later this month, but there's a caveat fans should keep in mind. Fans can officially buy tickets to see K-Pop Demon Hunters at select theaters across the country, which include options for chains like Regal and Cinemark and more for showings on August 23rd and 24th right now, as Polygon noticed. The movie is getting a quote-unquote sing-along event where fans will be able to experience all of the hits from fictional K-pop bands Huntrix and Saja Boys with fellow fans who have been memorizing the lyrics to the chart-topping soundtrack over the past 2 months. This is a no-brainer. You have stumbled on something, like whether I'm a big fan of the movie or not is completely irrelevant. You cannot deny its overwhelming success. You can't deny its overwhelming success. It has become a cultural thunderstorm. And now, like the other thing, because I was watching all those reactions to it, my YouTube feed now is filled with all these major K-pop, real life K-pop stars doing concerts, doing cover songs from K-Pop Demon Hunter. Everybody's cashing in on it now. I can't, all these channels where it's like a cello player and a violinist who do popular music, they're all doing K-pop songs now. They're all doing Golden.
I mean, we talked about the sequel and also the live action versions coming. That K-pop stars are going to be making, appearances in these.
Totally.
So it's coming. It's in our future.
As long as Lalisa's in every one of them.
Well, here's, this is one of the things, because I told you what my news feed is now being filled with. Here's the interesting thing about it. I came across this video. It's an incredible story and see if you can find a picture of her, Jonathan. It's spelled E-J-A-E. Her name's EJ. All right. One of my favorite stories in the movie industry is from Greatest Showman, where this girl, I think the best song, Greatest Showman, I think is the greatest musical movie of all time. I know that's a hot take, but I stand by it, and I'll debate anybody on it. But the best song that came out of it is a song called Never Enough.
Right.
That our girl from Mission Impossible played. Why am I freezing on? Anyway, I'm forgetting the girl's name now. Guys in the live chat, if you remember the name of the actress, Ferguson. What's her name?
Rebecca Ferguson.
What's that?
Rebecca
Ferguson. So,
but she didn't sing the song.
No, that's the thing.
Lauren, who was on
Lauren McFall.
Yeah, and she was on AGT.
Yeah. So Lauren McFall, this girl was
ABT.
She did what they do for all these musical movies, where they record what's called reference tracks. So they'll bring in a singer to sing the song, so that the actor who's going to be actually singing in the movie can hear how the song should be sung and mimic it. Well, Rebecca Ferguson heard Lauren McFall's reference track, and she went to the director and said, I can't do what this girl does. You let her sing it. And Lauren McFall was the one. Everybody thinks it was Rebecca Ferguson, but it was actually Lauren McFall, who, and then she did what became a breakout star.
Yeah, it was on
America's
Britain's Got Talent.
Britain Got Talent. That was it. So EJ is kind of a similar story. This girl, I hope they make a movie about her. I mean this dead serious when it comes to K-pop Demon Hunters. This girl, EJ, you understand, in Korea, they basically have, a sweat farm.
Right.
Sweat farm factories for trying to create pop idols. And I think the big one is called EM. I think it's called EM. It might be something else, but I think this major company that basically creates who's going to be the next popular K-pop band. So she basically, this girl EJ, SM, thank you, somebody in live chat craze called SM. She got into the system and then trained for like 15 years or whatever it was, only to get into her 30s. And they eventually said to her, you're not good enough. You're too old now. You're never going to be a star. We cannot designate you for breakthrough.
Oh,
She won't be a star. Come on.
Yeah, there's too
I'll
old,
make her a
man.
star.
Too old. Look at that. Wrinkled up crab face. Too old. Anyway,
She just doesn't have the features, guys.
she just doesn't have it, right? So they kick her out. So she starts writing music. And then a bunch of very popular K-pop bands start singing her songs that she writes for them.
So she goes to Diane Warren of.
But she's still a singer. And so then basically what happened was the same thing that happened to Lauren McFall. See, in K-pop Demon Hunters, you might get, wait a minute, Rumi, the lead vocalist of Huntrix, she doesn't play Rumi. No, she doesn't. But she does all the singing for Rumi. And they just basically heard her and they went, like the directors heard EJ doing the reference tracks and like, nobody can sing like this. You've got to do the voices. So EJ ended up writing the biggest songs in it and actually singing the biggest song in it as well. And listen, I don't even like this movie and I'm so excited for this girl. I am so excited for I love these little, like rags to riches kind of like underdog stories where somebody who truly has real talent and deserves it and gets that break. And now she's blowing up around the world. Like everybody's like talking about EJ now, but anyway, I love it. But look, the real story here is I've gone off on a massive rabbit trail. Forgive me. The big story here is they are going to put it in theaters. They're going to be doing sing-alongs. Rob, is there any amount of money I could bet you that you would take that this thing will not be sellouts across the board?
No, I think this is going to be quite the sellout across the board. I think, look, this is a phenomenon. You don't see this kind of a phenomenon every day, and I think that there's lots of crazy stuff like the male. Did you ever watch this YouTube channel, Tokyo Sims?
I have not. No.
It's this guy, Cole, this handsome kid is just interviewing people on the streets of Shibuya in Japan. It's a wacky, rollicking good time. And the lead character and the male character looks like he's drawn after this guy, Cole. And there's something happening. There's a groundswell of between K-pop, between Japanese pop culture. There's something that is permeating our youth. You know how we had like the Beatles when they invaded, they called it the British invasion. Then we had the second British invasion. And I think K-pop is totally manufactured. Like you said, SM, they're manufacturing these things, but there's something going on here that we don't have in America. I don't know if it's a joie de vivre. I don't know if it's a certain attitude. I don't know if it's something genuine and joyful and exciting. But we're getting it, and it's sweeping the nation. And I think we need to take a good long look at what's going on here and asking ourselves why. Like I haven't watched all of. I watched a little bit of it, and I'm just like, what is it, man? What's going on here, John? But I wouldn't bet against it.
By the way, I have to correct myself. The name of the girl who did the singing in Greatest Showman is Lauren Allred.
Yes. I thought
there was a girl who used to work for me back at AMC whose name was Lauren McFall.
Oh.
So I had just Lauren. So, oh yeah, Lauren McFall. Sorry. That was a girl who used to work with us back at AMC for like a minute. Really good girl. That was Lauren McFall. This was Lauren Allred.
By the way,
Thank
Lauren
you for the
Allred
correction.
is incredibly beautiful.
Oh, and
unbelievably talented.
World-class vocalist.
World-class. And she, by the way, she should have won Britain's Got Talent. She
Yeah,
didn't
I
win.
don't know how she didn't. I really don't know how she didn't. At any rate, guys, question is for you.
Simon.
What do you think about
Simon.
this? Well, remember, Simon, they don't vote for the winner. America votes.
I know.
Right?
No, Britain
Or
voted this time. Yeah.
Right.
But they always vote for comedians and shit.
Yeah, it was weird. You know what? Here's the other thing. On America's Got Talent, do you remember that, I forget her name, but she's this young little, I think Pakistani or Indian girl, and she did the U2 cover, and I think she's blind. And it's like, how did that girl not win this thing? She's like one of the best things. Anybody in the live chat remember that girl's name? It's like, that was one of the greatest things I'd ever seen.
I assume she did. That's why I
No,
thought
she didn't. She didn't win. I couldn't believe she didn't win. It's like one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. Anyway, question is for you guys. What do you think about all this? Well, good move for them to put this thing in theaters for a sing-along. It's going to be a short window or not. Are you interested in going to see it? Listen, I'm not even a fan of the movie, and I love the music in it, man. I love it. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on and talk about this, shall we? You know, we've been talking about the success that Zach Krieger's had this week with Weapons, far exceeding box office expectations. It was projected at the high end, $30 million, and losing to Freakier Friday. It beat Freakier Friday by a ton, way blew by its expectations, made $42.5 million, already profitable after its first weekend. Crazy. Well, did you know that same guy, Krieger, who directed Barbarians, who just directed Weapons, do you know he's written a script for DC that he wants to get made that would involve Batman?
What?
Would involve Joker and would involve Harley, although none of them would be the feature players of it. The good folks over at Superhero Hype wrote this. They said this: according to a report in the Hollywood Reporter's Heat Vision newsletter, Krieger's movie is titled Henchman and follows the story of a low-level henchman in Gotham City who incapacitates Batman through a stroke of pure luck. And after this, he begins to gain notoriety in Gotham's underworld. The report also mentions that characters like Batman, Joker, and Harley Quinn could all appear briefly in the movie. However, the movie has several notable hurdles to get through before ever being made. Specifically, James Gunn and Peter Safran have not yet cast Batman, Joker, or Harley in the DCU yet. In the recent interview with the Hollywood Reporter, Krieger acknowledged the script, but did note that it wasn't in his plans just yet. Up next for Krieger is his Resident Evil film. Then he says he has an original sci-fi film that he wants to make.
Yes.
Before listing off the mysterious DC project. He said this: I have Resident Evil, and then I have a sci-fi movie right after that, and that is also original, said Krieger. And then I have another finished script that I want to do after that. It actually takes place in the DC universe, but it's totally original. And it's not a superhero movie. We now know what it is. It's about henchmen. You know, when I hear about this, you know what the first thing that comes to my mind is? Remember, I keep forgetting the name of the show. That show on ABC that had Alan Tudyk as Van Wayne, Bruce Wayne's cousin. It was called Unpowered. No, what was it called?
Yeah.
It was called Super or Powerless was what it was called. There was an episode in Powerless where the lead girl got set up on a date and started dating a guy later to find out that he was a henchman for the Riddler. So it kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
It reminds me of something very directly I'll get into in a minute.
Okay. But this whole notion of some just random henchman through pure luck takes down Batman and becomes this notoriety. That sounds okay.
It's gold.
Take Zach Krieger out of it. And I hear that pitch. I'm going to go, you know what? That sounds pretty cool. And it sounds like something that would totally fit in a James Gunn DC universe. Sounds interesting. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. You then say, yeah, being done by the guy who did Barbarians and who did Weapons.
Extra good.
I'm like, I'm in my best Jurassic Park. I'm like, what? Why are we still talking? Why are we still standing around talking? Make this movie now, please. I mean, do Resident Evil later. Do this movie now, please. He's not going to do it now.
Yeah.
Now, don't forget, he's already currently in house over at Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's working on the lot right now anyway. Just got to walk across the street over to James Gunn's office.
He's already had meetings.
Oh, 100%.
It's already happened.
100% those meetings have happened. This sounds outrageously baller to me. I want to see this right now. Anyway, Rob, you heard about this. What's your takeaway?
It sounds good to me. I mean, the most exciting thing about what Kreger said is that he said he's got his science fiction movie he wants to do after,
right?
Or as I like to call it, Zach Kreger's space movie.
I just hope it's not his Nope movie.
No, it is Nope. It's not that at all.
Last time I saw a big auteur horror director try to mix it with sci-fi, didn't work out so well.
I am very excited about Zach's space movie. That's all I'm going to say about it. I have nothing more to say other than the fact that I can't wait to see that movie. But the henchman story, I mean, there's always been, the following the henchman has been kind of it's happened in comic books, but I would love to see the definitive version of it. I mean, it could be comedic, it could be serious, it could be heartbreaking, but I bet he will make it awesome.
Could be all of those wrapped in
all
one.
those at once.
Yeah.
Henchman. It's a great title. Or Henchman.
But I also like how he specifically says, because I saw somebody in the live chat mention this, and it's a very good thought. Somebody in the live chat said, I hope they don't job Superman or job Batman. But they specifically says in it, he incapacitates Batman through a sheer stroke of luck.
Yeah.
And as long as it's clear, like as long as it's not Batman fighting a henchman and the henchman wins,
right?
That would be jobbing Batman. But if some weird Final Destination, weird quirky series of events happens that Batman gets knocked out, and it's some henchman, this henchman now becomes a legend.
You could do it. You could do it in a way without jobbing him, where something happens where Batman has to throw himself between something dangerous and saving some innocent people, which then takes him out. That was caused by this henchman because he did it in a heroic fashion, a selfless fashion, but he still, by a weird current of events.
Yeah.
Then it's just like
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be a thing where the way it's
he's not going to like flip and fall.
Yeah, well, but here's I don't think it's going to be something that Batman basically incapacitates himself because he's doing something heroic, and the henchman just took credit for it. I think it's going to be something that the henchman does that totally shouldn't work, but then a bunch of mishaps happen end up being directly
like a final destination.
That's what I'm saying,
thing.
like a final destination weird series of events.
Like it could never happen again if you try.
Exactly. Yeah. Like there's no way that could be planned out. There's no way that could happen.
But he's like, no, that's exactly what I planned, and that's how it becomes.
Exactly. Let me tell you the story about how I knocked out Batman.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this sounds great. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about the idea of Zach Kreger, the guy who did Barbarians and the current #1 movie, Weapons? He's already written a script for DC, and he wants to make it after the next couple of films he does. I think this sounds amazing. I'd love to see this. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, Superman, as we talked about last week, officially crossed the break-even point. So congratulations to them. By the way, Jurassic World, what's it called again? Jurassic Rebirth is like closing in on $800 million worldwide.
Yep.
But you know what it hasn't made more money than domestically? Superman. Superman actually made more money than Jurassic World domestically. Superman is the highest grossing Superman movie of all time domestically. And we talked about last week how it just cracked the break-even point, and now it's just at about $580 million.
Yep.
Already. So it's well into profitability. Yet, nevertheless, even though we broke down all the math, last week we broke down all the math. We even said, look, you could, whichever one of the math formulas you want to go with. We went with the one I use, which is production plus marketing multiplied by 1.5 equals your break-even mark. We said, okay, there you go. But then we even took what is the commonly one used, the one that everybody online likes to use. Production budget multiplied by 2.5. Okay, we did that too. Superman's profitable. By whatever metric you want to measure, Superman's become profitable. Yet, there's still these moving goalposts out there that people keep saying, well, no, it actually needed to make this much money. And there's some rumor going around that it needed to make $650 million.
They keep bumping it by
which,
50.
if you don't know anything about math, sure, I can see how you'd believe that. But James Gunn was specifically asked about it, and he said, no, he put that to rest. Listen, said this. A fan recently asked Gunn on Threads about Superman's box office, stating, people online keep saying that Superman needs to make $650 million to break even and be a success. Is that true, or would you say it's already a success? Huge fan of the movie, by the way. To which Gunn replied, absolutely false. Anyone saying that doesn't have an understanding of how the film business works. And we would have been idiots to make a first in a franchise film that would need to make $600 million, $650 million to be profitable. Which, I don't know. Oh, yeah, I've been saying that for years. So, yeah, put all that nonsense to... You know what, Rob? You can just say numbers. Watch, I'll say a number.
No, don't do it.
3,565,000.
No,
I said a number.
Never
You
be
have
profitable.
to go and say that.
Dude, I thought you liked WB. It's never going to be profitable now.
Yeah, but sorry. See, I can say numbers too. I can just say something without backing it up with anything. It's like on Donald Trump. Anyway. So, that being said, the film's now firmly in the prop. Now it's making $25-30 million of profit. It's approaching. I still don't know that it'll get to 600 million. But I was glad to be proven wrong. I mean, I've said for 2 years, I didn't even think Superman would be profitable. So I'm glad to be proven wrong. I've said for a couple of years it wouldn't. I've also said it didn't need to be profitable because that's not what was important to Superman. What was important to Superman was repairing the unbelievable catastrophic damage done to the DC image and IP by the failed DCEU. That is a huge obstacle it has to overcome. And, you know, to see what it's done here is pretty impressive. And he, by the way, then also went on to confirm that the sequel's happening. We don't know what it's going to be called. They keep calling it a super family, but he's also referring to it as the sequel to Superman.
Super-man.
The super-est man that they're doing. So this has obviously worked out well on them. But plus, look, Rob, I've said this before. I'll bring it up here again. The reason why, and this is where it connects to James Gunn's statement. People keep saying, John, I understand. Why do you keep saying that Superman doesn't need to be profitable? Don't you want it to be successful? Are you a DC hater? Blah, blah, blah. No. It's not that at all. It's the point that, Rob, one of the key differences between successful people and unsuccessful people. There's a number of things. there's a number of things. There's work ethic. There's whatever, all that kind of stuff. But one of the big significant, I believe, differences between people who are successful and people who are not is people who are successful look big picture and long term.
Yeah.
People who are generally unsuccessful, I find, just look to see what's right in front of them. They try to decide what they're going to do tomorrow. A good example of this is Disney Plus. Do you know that in its first year of operating, Disney Plus lost not $50 million, not $100 million, not $300 million, not $700 million, not $900 million. Disney Plus lost $1 billion in its first year.
Nice.
Now, to the short-term thinking people, and there were at the time, I remember when those financials came out and everybody's like, Disney Plus fell on its face and failed. It sucked. Look at Netflix is making money. Disney couldn't do it. Ha ha. Of course, they all forgot that Disney Plus streamed for like 12 years, losing money every single year until they finally turned a profit. What did I say?
Disney Plus.
Sorry, yeah, Netflix. Streamed for like almost a dozen years, losing money every year, also, losing less and less and less.
Disney Plus was $5.99.
Yeah, Disney Plus was $5.99 at the time. It's a very different story today. Today, Disney Plus is profitable. So the reason Disney Plus did not go, oh, well, we lost $1 billion, just pull the plug, is because, no. We understood. We know. First year, it's going to be whatever. We're entering into a new realm we've never been in. There's already an established powerhouse in this playground. It's going to take us some time. They looked at it big picture. When I started the John Campea YouTube channel, I could have, and I did have people like I think my first month, I think I had like 200,000 views in my first month, to which I had, remember, I rolled the dice. I quit my 6-figure paying job over at Collider and all that kind of stuff to go and launch my own thing. And once I had like 200,000 views my first month, if I'm remembering that right, I had a whole bunch of people gleefully tell me what a failure I was. Tell me, did you see what a big mistake you made leaving Complex and all that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I could have been very short-sighted about it. But I was not looking about what is my first month going to do. I was looking at what am I going to do in my first month? Then how am I going to build on that in the second month? My thinking was, where am I going to be in 3 years? Will I be able to be, because I don't know if you knew this, Rob, but a 200,000 view thing on YouTube, not enough to pay your bills.
No, I know that.
Not pay enough. Does not make you enough money to pay your bills. So I was looking at it. I knew I wasn't going to break even in my first month. I didn't even know if I'd break even in my first year. But what I was thinking in terms of 1, 2, 3 years is how I wanted to look at it. So sure, a lot of people could look at my first month and say, Campea, you're a complete and utter failure. Sounds like something my mom would say. No, just kidding. My mom was my biggest cheerleader. But, that's the thing. And for a lot of people keep forgetting that with this Superman movie, they didn't have all the advantages that, say, my favorite Superman movie of all time, Man of Steel, had. Man of Steel is my all-time favorite Superman movie. Love you, Henry. But it had a lot of advantages that Superman simply did not have. Man of Steel came out at a time when nothing was hotter than superhero movies. A bunch of superhero movies had just joined the $1 billion club. Everything was rolling. Superman was getting a fresh start after a long delay from Superman Returns to that. It was building off the momentum that we had with the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. It had and more people were going to the movie theaters at that time. Because remember, it was pre-pandemic. It had all these advantages. And I say that that's my favorite Superman movie. Still to this day is my favorite. And that's why I said for 2 years, Rob, that Superman, this new one probably won't break even. And that's okay. And for 2 years, I had short-term thinking people, short-sighted people going, well, Campea, you're an idiot. It's the movie business. You got to make money. It's a failure if it doesn't make money. And I was just like, if you don't know how to look long-term, I don't have the time to sit here to explain it to you.
Oh, and they'd flip the logic. They'd say, remind me again how it's a good thing this won't make money.
Yes. I never said it's good. I said Warner Brothers would love it for it to make a profit. Of course they would. But what they need to do, if you're thinking long-term, job number one is repair the catastrophic damage done to the image of DC by the failed DCEU. That's job. You got to overcome this. And you got to overcome that this is like the 17th iteration of Superman we're going to have on screen in the last 5 months. Practically. I said, that's what they got to do. The money will come. Money will come with the franchise down the road. But I would say, Rob, it does DC no favors if this Superman movie makes $900 million, but doesn't go over well with the fans and the critics. They haven't accomplished anything. As a matter of fact, they've killed themselves. This one's got to go over well with the critics, 80+%, 82, 83% critic rating. And it's got to go over well with the audience, 92, 93% audience rating, A- cinema score rating. All these numbers far exceeding the last 5 films that the DCEU did. So for James Gunn now to be able to come out and say, yep, critics loved it. Yep, audiences loved it. Oh, and by the way, that's a victory cigar he's smoking on, by the way. By the way, unlike what Campea was saying, it was actually profitable. We still made money with it, which is insane to me. So anyway, Rob, James Gunn comes out and confirms, yes, no, we're already profitable. And yes, we're doing a sequel. What's standing out to you about his statements? Where do you see them going with this?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think what's interesting is this is the beginning of a new studio. And they have not just made one movie. They've shot Supergirl, they've shot Lanterns, they've shot Peacemaker season 2. They have Clayface in active development. They're spending money writing Wonder Woman scripts and Teen Titans scripts or whatever they're doing. There's a lot more money that's been spent than just the production budget of Superman. So regardless of what Superman made, you're talking about the expenditure across the board. Now, people have come back at me when I've said this on this show and my own show, and they're like, well, that doesn't count for the single movie. I'm like, no, it does, because they're launching an entire studio, and they haven't just spent money on one movie. You have to include, let's just say they've spent $1 billion all in. They've made $1 billion expenditure on this first salvo.
Yeah, you're talking Superman, Peacemaker, Lantern, Supergirl. Yeah.
So there's $1 billion that's outstanding. And so of that $1 billion, whatever the return is on Superman ultimately, and when people say, it's so weird because we've gotten to the point where people now are just talking about box office. And I'm like, since when did all of you become experts in studio accounting? Because movies don't just make money on their box office. And someone will come back at me and go, well, but that's really all that matters. And it's like, not if you're at a studio. Your movie is an ongoing business proposition that has different lives. Lives. Once it comes out of the theater, it goes to SVOD or VOD. Then it gets licensed to a streaming service. Even if it's your own, you have to pay some kind of a licensing fee. There's all kinds of things. There's ancillary product. There's the merchandising deals they made with Superman has a lot where companies are paying you to put their product in the movie. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and this movie is going to continue to generate income for a while. So it's not a failure.
Oh, I guarantee you, once it hits VOD, which, by the way, the cost of VOD today is so outrageous, $25 to rent.
Sure, and there's a lot of
but
people that
once that hits VOD, like not streaming, not on HBO Max, once it hits VOD first for $25, $30, is anybody willing to take the bet that this won't be number one on the VOD charts when it comes out? Of course it will.
Yeah.
100% it will be. And sorry, please continue.
Well, no, and how many people are buying? How many people are renting? A lot. There's a lot of people that just don't go to movie theaters anymore and will watch it. So this idea that we're obsessed with box office, and I know, let's face it, this movie is in a competition with a lot of people with Man of Steel, which was a different time in a different place, and there were different concerns. Dude, I might lose $1,000 bet I had that I'm going to have to pay up if I don't on social media when I open my big mouth. But you know what? I'll pay that bet just to show that I'll do it. But that just means I have to do more YouTube shows, a little bit more super chat money.
By the way, just if you wanted to apply, I clearly do not. I'm saying this with tongue in cheek. Okay. Understand. This Superman movie cost $220 million to make. Do you know what Man of Steel's budget was in 2025 dollars? If you take inflation, so that's why I'm saying this in tongue in cheek. You know what Man of Steel's budget was if you take into account inflation? $328 million was the budget of Superman.
Yeah, but
again, tongue in cheek.
But a lot of people a lot of people are looking at what Warner Brothers, like the tax returns, like when they were looking for tax credits,
right?
How much the movie cost, and it was in the 300 millions, and that's why people are saying, well, it costs a lot more money. And again, I would ask and wonder, where are those numbers coming from? Unless you're seeing a budget, line items and all that, things aren't always what they seem. You're talking about studio accounting, which is never reliable. It never has been reliable. It's always going to be shenanigan city over there. It always will be. So you never know. By
the way, Mark Wells in live chat, inflation smurf. That should be and again, remember, I am like, ask me again in 6 months once I've had a chance to live with Superman a little while longer. But as of right now, I feel I'll still say today, right now, Man of Steel is my favorite Superman movie. But I'm also get to live in this beautiful world where I don't have to pick sides.
Right.
I love them both. I love this new Superman movie, and I love Man of Steel. And you're a moron, not if you like one and not the other, but if you feel like you're supposed to only like one and not the other. Well, then you're a moron. I'm sorry, but you are. You're just an idiot if you believe that. If you love one and hate the other, perfectly fine.
Yeah, that should only apply to Star Trek. You have to like one and not the other.
Yeah.
Just saying.
By the way, I finally started watching Strange New Worlds, the new season. It's really good. And here's my biggest surprise, Rob. I'm watching it and I'm thinking because there was some stuff, there's other stuff I've watched like in Discovery, whatever, where I've gone, yeah, I can see why Rob wouldn't like this. But I was watching the new episodes of Strange New Worlds, and if I didn't already know you didn't like the new season, and somebody said, would you want to put a bet on whether Rob would like this? I said, this is in line with what Rob would like. I would have lost that bet because it looks like Star Trek that you would like. Anyway, he's holding it in. He's all right. Anyway,
you could use that bet money to pay off your other bet.
Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We have James Gunn debunking this whole thing about how much Superman needed to break even when all you had to do is take all the commonly accepted formulas that people use to determine whether or not a movie is profitable or not. Superman is. It's making more and more profit every day that passes, and they've confirmed the sequel. But what does that mean for them long term? Like, where do they go from here? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, it's now time for us to move on, of course, to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to bid good day, as Robert Meyer Burnett's got to get home and get caught up on Strange New Worlds, season whatever it is they're on.
Dude, I've been watching For All Mankind again. I just finished season 2.
Nice.
I'm going to dive right back into season 3. That's a Star Trek show.
Well, it created and run by a guy who used to do Star Trek.
I talked to him yesterday.
That's right. Anyway, Rob, great job as always. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.
I will see you tomorrow.
All right, guys, let's now move over and get to your topics and questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
The man who killed Batman. I just needed to get that out. Okay. Henry Steele says, I just watched the movie Sketch It, about a little girl, Amber, and her family dealing with the loss of the mom. Amber uses artistic skill to draw monsters that end up coming to life, and now the family have to deal with the aftermath while processing their own grief. It's an amazing exploration of grief, loss, and understanding who you are. I highly recommend seeing this film. It's great and well worth going to see. Also, as a side note, the trailer is misleading. Go in blind.
Yeah,
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's just called Sketch. It's not Sketch.
It's not
It's
Sketch
just called
It?
Sketch. But here's the thing. I did not like the trailer to it, to be honest with you. I didn't think the trailer looked very, very interesting. Now, the movie opened in 2,100 theaters and it made $2.6 million. So obviously the trailers didn't do a good job attracting people to it. The way you just described it is the best marketing I've ever heard for this movie. Because I don't think they made good trailers. The way you described it, that interests me in the film. You know what it reminds me of, the whole conceit of it? How many of you guys, do me a favor, in the live chat, just type yes or no to this question. Did you guys as kids ever have the little animated short show called Simon? The theme song, I don't know why I remember it, but it was about this little kid who would draw things, and those things would then come to life, and he'd have adventures in his thing. I remember this theme song. The theme song was, well, you know, my name is Simon, and the things I draw come true, and the pictures take me, blah, 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 with you. So I forgot some of the lines, sue me. Most people are saying no. I'm seeing a few yeses. That's right. Mini Might says on TVO. 100% it was on TVO. Anyway, so it reminds me of that. So Simon was it was a little short. Each episode was like 5 minutes. Simon would draw something in his magical sketchbook and then wake up into an adventure in whatever it is he drew. And when I can't help but believe that Sketch is probably influenced by that a little bit, but it sounds like a mix, Jonathan, between that Simon show.
There's another movie I cannot think of.
And Bridge to Terabithia. It sounds like a kind of a bridge, like children dealing with grief and whatever. It sounds like a mixture of it.
A little bit. I thought it was Alfonso Cuarón. It's not. I'm looking at there's another movie that came out like back when we were at AMC where it dealt with grief and like the things he would like draw or sketch out came to life. Or
wasn't that
or
the guy who was the guy who played Chuck? Zach, and he was Shazam.
Yeah, then there was another movie that came out recently.
The Blue Crayon or something like that. I don't know if that is what you're thinking of.
No, that was this is
the
another
Purple
one.
Crayon is what it was called.
Yeah, this one came out years ago. Like I think we were still at AMC back then. It'll come to me.
All right. What's next?
Anyway, we got a not. Let's see. Did I? Oh, this thing just bumped on me. I hate when it does that.
Yeah, Anonymous was part 2.
Okay, Orlando. I don't think we should compare Feige and James. James has Peter, and we don't know how they divide the duties. Feige was in charge of everything. I believe James can write and direct because he has Peter. James could probably do his part a few hours a day, but he still has to shepherd the storylines.
Yeah, it's a false comparison because while there are people at Marvel who do not share equal title with Kevin Feige has other executives that he passes those responsibilities onto and then report to him. It's really no different. Kevin Feige spends the vast majority of his time. Now, he is the head of Marvel Studios, but he doesn't do everything.
That's what it was.
Which one?
And I just said it's a Monster Calls. It was J.
That's right.
J.A. Bayona.
That's right.
Thank you. And the Lachine is who brought it up. So thank you.
So like Kevin Feige also has people do the things that Peter Safran does. The only difference is that Peter Safran doesn't report to James Gunn. He's co-CEO, whereas the people that Kevin Feige has looking after those types of things that Peter Safran does, those people do report to Kevin. He's still above them. They're not co-CEOs or whatever. But yeah, don't think for a second that Kevin Feige does all that stuff too. He also has other people that does that stuff that Peter Safran does, except that Peter Safran just happens to be put on the same level as James Gunn, but they basically have the same responsibilities. All right, what's next?
Got Aaron who says, "Hey John, thought you might find this interesting. The top 5 most streamed Star Wars scores on Spotify. Okay, Duel of Fates, no surprise
that
there.
Makes sense.
Across the Stars, Imperial March, Cantina Band." Which I assume is popular, but not the most played. And Ray's Theme, how would you rank them?
You know, Ray's Theme is actually pretty good. Whenever I think of the garbage prequels, and their pretty damn good music, the music that always pops up to me is obviously Duel of the Fates. Now, because that's the first piece of Star Wars music that came out during the internet era, right? So it's no surprise at all that that's the #1 streamed. The best, though, is obviously the Imperial March.
I am shocked the Asteroid Field is not in there.
Da, 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 da. But that's music. I would say this, Jonathan, that's music I got to be watching for it to really have its full effect.
I suppose so.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you listen
Well, I think
to
you
Duel
and
of
I
Fates.
could, people like you and I, not just you and I, but other really like Star Wars fans would do that. But you're right. It doesn't transport you like, you know.
So I don't know how I'd rank them. I'd have to think about it, but I think Duel of the Fates is absolutely fantastic. I mean,
Dude,
Duel
it's so
of the
good.
Fates is the single greatest thing to come out of the garbage prequels.
It was the only reason I'd go back to watch Phantom Menace. I just watched that scene.
Oh, dude. Well, listen, I think as much as I hate the prequels, there's a number of things in the prequels that I truly appreciate. Duel of the Fates is one of them. Again, I stand by and I will defend the pod race sequence, that 20-minute long sequence.
It is
I
pretty
love
wizard.
it. I mean, oh, that's gonna hurt. I could have done with all that garbage, but I mean, the pod race is thrilling, and the greatest sound design in cinematic history is the pod race scene. It's thrilling, and I love just about all the lightsaber fights, especially Master Yoda's lightsaber fights. A lot of people hate on Yoda's lightsaber fights in the prequels. I think they're great.
Against like Dooku, like that scene.
Oh yeah, all of them. Like I just love all the lightsaber fights in the prequels. Anyway, what's next?
Turkey Man. Recently watched Weapons. I loved it, but my experience was a little tainted by a mom that had a baby. Oh, come on. And cried for at least 45 minutes of the movie. Moment of silence here. Okay. And the people around us were sucking their teeth, complaining. What would you have done?
Yeah,
I would have left. Got my money back.
I have a lot of sympathy for moviegoers who bring their babies to the theaters. Because you know what? Honestly, 3 times out of 4, babies just sit quietly during the movie. They really do. 3 times out of 4. It just seems differently because the ones that cry are the ones you notice. But every time I'm in a movie theater, I honestly do a quick scan to see how many babies or really, really young children are.
I do that in restaurants too.
Oh, yeah?
Because I hate when kids just go that
Oh,
high-pitched scream and you're just trying to eat.
But those are the ones you notice.
Yeah.
The reality
Exactly.
is
There's a lot of good.
most of the time they're perfectly finely behaved.
Yeah.
And listen, it's expensive to get a babysitter, or even if you can find a babysitter and you're an adult, you want to go to a movie, I have no problems with an individual or a couple bringing their baby or really young child to a movie. I really have no problems with it. I even don't mind if the baby starts to act up and you taking a few moments to see if you can get your baby settled down. It's a momentary distraction, but just momentary.
Yeah, big deal.
But I believe the social contract is bring your baby for sure. Come out, enjoy a night at the movies. And if your baby starts to act up, see if you can get the baby settled down. But listen, if you've tried to settle your baby down and it's been 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes, listen, I know it sucks, but the social contract is you need to quietly get up and take your baby and walk out into the lobby for a few minutes. See if you can get the baby to settle down in the lobby. Now, it sucks because it means you're missing a couple of minutes of the movie. I get that. But you are robbing every other person in that movie theater of their enjoyment of the movie, all because you don't want to miss out on a minute or two. And listen, I know I've been in a movie theater where baby started to get upset. Mom took them out, came back in 4 or 5 minutes later. Baby has settled down. At some point, the baby starts getting fussy again. I don't mind as long as when it happens, the mom tries to do something about it. Honestly, I think if I was in a movie theater where there was a parent who just simply wasn't doing anything about it and refused to step out of the theater for a minute, I think I'm going out and talking to management. Again, I am all for people bringing their children to movies because most of the time, children are perfectly finely behaved. Yeah. And I don't mind if they get a little fussy here and there.
But 30, 40 minutes?
But like anything over 5 or 6 minutes long, you have a responsibility to, and I know it sucks you're going to miss a few minutes of the movie, but you got to go out into the lobby and see if you can calm your child down. If you can't, then you got to try again another time. So yeah, that's my kind of thought on it. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Wendell says, saw F4 and with 2 friends. One liked it, one hated it, and I only liked the first half. We asked ourselves who we'd like to see a solo movie made of, and we all agreed it was Mole Man. It's just our experience, but maybe that's why it's not doing better. I mean, it's holding a 91%. So
I mean, the audiences love it, the critics love it, and quite frankly, I mean, it's doing better than the last couple of Marvel films have, despite the fact that there have been 4 other Fantastic Four movies that have all been failures. So it's not doing bad for what it is. I don't know if it's going to break even, but considering where Marvel is right now, who have been very hit and miss ever since Endgame, this is a win for them because it's made more money than their previous couple of films. It's gotten better reception than the previous couple of films, and hopefully that will bode very well for them in the future. Here's the funny part. I think my least favorite part of Fantastic Four was Mole Man.
It felt like it took me out.
It took me out.
It felt like it was like, okay, I get it, but this feels a little comedic relief. That's not.
Yeah. I didn't like the way they did Mole Man. It pulled me out of the film, to be honest with you. Now, he's barely in it, so it didn't really make that big of a difference. But it's just, it's the subjectivity film, man. You're just telling me that was like one of your favorite parts. And for me, somebody who really liked the movie, I actually didn't like that. That part to me was a distraction. But again, that just goes to show the subjectivity of movies.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
We got Hars K. Hello, just want to put it out there that 2016's Shin Godzilla will be in theaters August 13th to 14th. It's a bit different from -1, but it's up there with both quality and verisimilitude. One of the very best Godzilla movies, period.
I would never use the word verisimilitude with a Godzilla movie, even this one.
Even Shin.
Even Shin. Like, no, just no. I'm going to go see this, though. I've never seen Godzilla on the big screen. Never seen it on the big screen. I'm definitely going to go see it. And you know what? I think there is a place, because Godzilla is almost a genre onto itself. Mm-hmm. And just like every other genre, I believe there is a place for different types. I believe there's a place for the Godzilla is the threat. Godzilla is the force of nature we're fighting against, like Godzilla -1, like Shin Godzilla, stuff like that. And I also believe there's a place for the more fantastical, action-oriented Godzilla is the hero kind of movies like we get with Godzilla versus Kong. I am an unapologetic fan of Godzilla versus the last two Godzilla versus Kong movies. I like them a lot. And I believe there's a place for both. So here's hoping they can continue having success. All right, what's next?
Relax, Guy. Take a rest. What would you think?
Relax, Guy. Come on, buddy.
What would you think of theaters doing an early seating bonus in the rewards program? Let's say AMC lists 6 p.m. and 6:25 actual showtime. They give like 30 or so stubs to people who like basically check in earlier, maybe decreasing it by the hour. It would have to me. It'd have to be more than 30 stubs, but I mean, I'm not against that idea.
Yeah, listen, I am all for the idea of, because you guys who watch me regularly, you know, my basic theory is I don't mind more cost if I'm also getting more value.
Mm-hmm.
Again, for an example, AMC, they recently, for the first time in like 5 years, upped the cost of AMC A-List. They only raised the price by like $2 or $3. But in raising the cost, they also gave me more value. Now, instead of 12 movies a month, I get 16 movies a month.
Yeah.
And instead of being able to have 3 ticket showtimes booked at one time, I'm able to now have 4 ticket showtimes booked at any one time. So yeah, did they increase my cost a little bit? They did, but they also gave me more value for that in exchange, and I consider that a fair trade. If you want to figure out a way to give me as a consumer more value for making me sit through a ridiculous 30 minutes of ads and trailers, then there's a discussion to be had there. Like, hey, if you are an AMC ticket holder and you come and you actually are in the theater by the advertised showtime, 6 p.m., then if you're an A-list member, we'll give you something for that. That's always been my thing. Like, you're making us sit through trailers and you're not giving us any value for that at all. You charged us a premium. You charged us $22 to sit down and watch this movie. And you're going to take a half hour of our time and not give us anything for it? So let's put it this way. As a consumer, as a customer, I would be open to the discussion about me getting value for sitting through trailers. That's interesting. So it'd have to be more than 30 stub points. But
I agree.
But the principle is there.
Especially if you have A-List, so you're not really paying per ticket. I would then probably make it a point to try to get there early to because then I use it for concessions. So,
all right, what's next?
We got Anonymous. Howdy, John. Congratulations on your win over AMC's lengthy ads.
That's right. It's because of me. I claim all victory here. Yep. So all me.
Congratulations, man. Next up is Greenland. John, our fearless leader, on that note, do you think movie theaters should start paying the studios extra money to have exclusive trailers playing before a movie?
Oh, no, they'll never do that. No. That's the other way around. That's the other way around. I remember back in the day, and again, we talk about this in my documentary film, Movie Trailers, A Love Story, that we're going to do a premiere of. You know what? I think this week. I think either this week or next week. Oh, there it is. I think either this week or next week. I think we're going to do a live streaming YouTube premiere because we made this movie like 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Jonathan worked on this film with me. A lot of hours. A lot of hours we spent sitting there going through it. We've already put it out and it's already available to our beloved YouTube channel members. But I think, probably not this week, next week. I think next week we're going to do a live YouTube premiere stream of it and we'll do a watch along with it. I mean, like 50 people are going to watch it. That's fine.
This will be fun.
But it's going to be fun. And
Yeah.
I'll let you know which day next week we're going to do it. And hopefully you guys will be available to come on and have the live chat watch along as we watch anyway. So there's an entire section of it where we talk about one of the biggest pivot points in the history of movie trailers, which was the release of the Star Wars The Phantom Menace movie trailer. It is absolutely one of the most pivotal moments ever in the history of movie trailers. And how it kind of changed the game. And then people thought, well, maybe theaters should pay to... No. It's never going to be that way. It is never going to be. It's the opposite. Theaters or studios and exhibitors pay studios or pay the movie theaters. It's not the other way around. And it'll never be that way. Anyway. All right. What's next?
All right. How'd that get there? Matt says, saw F1 at Cineplex VIP, had me at the edge of my seat. I was just telling John, I'm seeing it Wednesday. They're finally putting on AMC XD or X, whatever the
XL, I think.
XL,
it's called,
yeah. So I'm going to finally see it on the big screen. And saw Superman in IMAX. Too many trailer ads, but was surprised they promoted casino gambling apps like it was Candy Crush, even for family film Superman. Does this occur in the U.S. and for family films too? We have Progressive Insurance, but
they were advertising gambling.
That's kind of crazy. This is
in a movie theater.
Superman IMAX. Too many. Where was it? Wait, he didn't. So Cineplex. Okay.
Right. That's the Canadian chain.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I have no problem with anybody. I'm just surprised that the movie theater would do that. It's never something I've seen a movie theater advertise before. Again, I personally have no problem with it. You can advertise whatever you want. You're parents of your children. You're responsible. I just never heard of a theater doing that before. That's interesting. I need to look into that. All right. What's next?
Matt W. Oh, no, sorry. Just read that one. This was part 2 of... Okay, I thought that said part 1 in there.
Okay.
So theater goers would be compensated for their time in a way that also incentivizes them to come back. Theaters would be able to show advertisers the audiences are sitting through their ads and sustain even grow it as a source of revenue.
Yeah, okay, but the problem is, here's the problem. This is the fundamental problem, and it's ROI, return on investment. What are you going to... Because Jonathan and I both just said, the principle is good, but you're going to have to give me for a half hour of my time to just sit there and watch commercials. You're going to have to give me more than 30 stub points. Yeah. All right? You're going to have to get... Because what is it? 100 points equals $1 of value or something?
Yeah, it's pretty low.
Like 5,000 points gets me a $5 reward. Yeah. So it's like 1,000 points is equal to $1 of value. Isn't your time worth more than $1 for a half hour?
And then the flip side would be, so you're saying you have to pay off audiences in order to justify these long trailer, like, then why are you doing it? Why don't you just shorten it?
See, that's where it becomes a problem. You're going to have to give an audience member so much incentive, whether it's in money, stub points, whatever, that amount is outweighing whatever they're getting for playing the trailers in the first place. So it's like this. Let's say Rob tells me, John, I will pay you $10 to get Jonathan to watch this 2-hour Star Trek movie. Okay. Rob is going to pay me $10 to get Jonathan to watch a Star Trek movie. The problem is, in this hypothetical scenario, is that Jonathan hates Star Trek. He doesn't really. I'm just saying.
No, I love Star Trek, but go ahead.
Jonathan hates Star Trek. He doesn't want to sit for 2 hours and watch Star Trek. So since Rob is going to pay me $10 if I can get him to watch it, I try to come up with an incentive. And I tell Jonathan, I'll give you $1 to sit down for 2 hours to watch Star Trek. To which Jonathan's going to say, that's not worth 1 hour of my... Here's the problem. I'm going to have to end up offering Jonathan more than $10.
Yep.
And so, okay, I give Jonathan $15 to sit down and watch Star Trek. Great. I'm only getting 10 for Rob. I've lost $5 on the deal. That's the problem that you're going to face with how much incentive are you going to have to offer people to sit down for a mind-numbing 30 useless minutes of watching trailers and advertisements compared to what the theater's actually getting. Because I'm going to tell you this, the theaters don't actually get that much for playing trailers. Everybody thinks it's this huge pool of revenue. It's actually not. It's not insignificant, but it's not huge. So you're just going to have to end up giving audience members more in value than you're making from playing the trailers in the first place. And that's where the theory, again, in principle, give audience members value for watching it. Great. But in practicality, I don't think you can offer them that much because it's going to cut into whatever profits you were going to make. Anyway. All right. What's next?
Okay, we got Xavier says, "Hi, John and crew. Maybe I'm tripping, but imagine at the end of Spider-Man, Doom appears and Peter is all like, Mr. Stark, and hugs him, and Doom kills him. No more deals with Sony, and we all hate Doom. Well, that's a lot of money to say goodbye to."
Yeah. I mean, listen, that is whether it happens in Avengers Doomsday or in Avengers Secret Wars. Because remember, as of right now, Spider-Man is not in Doomsday. Officially. Could happen, might not, whatever. But either in Doomsday or Secret Wars, there is going to be a moment. There's going to be a very emotional moment where Peter's going to see the new Doctor Doom, and he's going to see Tony. He's going to see his mentor, his supplicant father figure. And that's going to be an emotional moment. How great would it be? They'll never do it. They'll never do it. But how great would it be if he's like, Mr. Stark, and he goes in for a hug, and as he's about to go in for the hug, Doom grabs his head and spins it and breaks his neck.
Christ. And
Who's this kid? And
He's
goes,
looking back at us. That's how much he spun it.
that his head is literally facing the opposite way now.
Well, we got
It's like,
dark
oh my
there.
God.
We got dark there.
I would love it, but they would never have the balls to do that.
Mr. Stark.
Mr. Stark. All right, what's next?
All right. How does this keep happening? Xavier says, also, thank you, Jonathan, for always saying my name right. Well, you're welcome, man.
How else would you pronounce Xavier?
I don't know. Maybe people say Javier, but Javier's with a J. So,
Yeah.
Crypto's Defense Squad. Saw Weapons, liked it, didn't love it. Almost wish the film was also told from the point of view of a certain student's family relative to answer some plot logic and character motivation questions I still had. Would have amped up the horror too. Sinners is number one still.
Yeah, I still think Sinners is number one. I still think Sinners is not just the best horror film of the year. I think it's the best movie of the year so far. I don't know if it will still be by the time we get to the end of the year, but right now it's still my number one. Yeah, though, I got to tell you, I think they told it from enough points of view. I thought it was a wonderful film. Again, I don't think it's Sinners or Weapons is going to end up being a top 5 film of the year for me by the end of the year, but I thought it was very good. I had a very, very good time watching. And again, to Rob's point, Rob was saying a little bit earlier,
Mm-hmm.
You can really tell the effectiveness of the film when you just come out and feel like you need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Ann and I still, days later, are still talking about the movie. And that's a sign that it really got us.
I want to share that link about the guy who was tying it to Blair Witch. I'm curious about that.
Oh yeah, I'll dig it up, see if I can find it. I can't remember, was it? It wasn't a YouTube video. It might have been.
Was it TikTok or something?
A blog post or
Okay.
Or something on Facebook. I'll go dig it up again. But I thought it was really fascinating.
We got Sam Fisher. So John, I just learned something really interesting. Do you know which country has the second biggest film industry in the world? It's Nigeria, called Nollywood. They make approximately 2,500 films annually. Bollywood is number 1. Hollywood is number 3. Interesting.
Well, okay, but that all depends on your metric of that, because by far Hollywood spends the most money and it has the biggest industry of it.
Biggest reach.
Yeah, and the biggest reach. It may not, like in pure whatever,
Numbers.
but I guarantee you of the 2,500 films that Norway makes. Did he say, was that Norway?
No. It was Nigeria.
Nigeria. That Nigeria or India makes is very, by Hollywood standards, very, 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 very low budget. So, I mean, it's semantics, granted, but it really all depends on what your measurement is as to which has the biggest industry. Because by clearly it is Hollywood, but still, that is a fact and figure. I never knew. I
didn't either.
The film was so loved in Nigeria. That's awesome.
I'd really like to sample some highlights.
All right, what's next?
Did he just say that? Says, hi, John and crew. Did you have a chance to see the trailer for The Cut? John Turturro gave me J.K. Simmons in Whiplash 5. And at the end of the trailer, I sat up and screamed, "That's Orlando Bloom." Did not recognize him at all. Thanks, and bring on the filthy. The Cut. It's a trailer.
Now, okay. You're not talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're not talking about the new series with Orlando Bloom,
has to be
Howard, and the dude from Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
The guy I want to die.
About a retired boxer.
Oh, The Cut's about a retired boxer? Okay, it's not the same thing. Because there's this one with what's her name? The director, she was in Jurassic World, Howard.
Yeah.
She's Ron Howard's daughter.
Yeah.
I love her. Why am I freezing on her name?
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, there's a show out now that just came out.
Bryce Dallas
Howard, with Bryce Dallas Howard, Orlando Bloom, and the guy who plays Nate in Ted Lasso, where they all play improv students, and they're hired by the cops to do undercover work. Deep cover. Okay, so that I'm familiar with, but I'm not familiar with The Cut.
Yeah, The Cut is...
And it's Orlando Bloom?
Coming soon. It's a movie.
Okay, no, I haven't seen the trailer for it. I'll keep my eye open for it. Thanks for putting it on my radar.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Jimmy Gunther. In Man of Steel, Jor-El embeds the Codex in Kal-El, saying he'll be a bridge between peoples. Without a Genesis chamber, how is Krypton restored? And if it is, how do humans avoid extinction or become second-class citizens in a few generations? Sort of like the X-Men or something.
Okay, so I want to get his wording again. Bring it. Okay, so without a Genesis chamber, how is Krypton restored? And if it is, how do humans avoid extinction and becoming second class is just new? Well, no, that's the whole conceit of the movie. That's the whole thing. Without the Genesis chamber, you can't restore Krypton. That's why Zod had a complete mental meltdown when when Kal-El destroyed the Genesis chamber. The Codex is useless without the Genesis chamber.
Mm-hmm.
He needed both. He needed the Genesis chamber and he needed the Codex that was in Kal-El. And once Kal-El destroyed the Genesis chamber, that was it. It was game over. Now, neither the Codex nor the Genesis chamber posed a threat to humanity. It was the world engines.
Right.
That's what was going to kill. There was recreating the atmosphere on
Kryptons.
Earth to Kryptons, which is uninhabitable for humans. So yes, without the Genesis chamber, the plan was over. And that's why, again, a powerful moment in Man of Steel is when Zod is like begging and pleading with Kal-El not to destroy the Genesis chamber. It's a powerful moment in the movie, man. All right, what's next?
Got Super Nintendo Chalmers says, Fantastic Four box office question. I'm getting conflicting reactions to F4's box office. I'm getting everything from people being positive about it, while some are calling it a disaster. What do you think?
It's definitely not a disaster. I mean, the movie's already made well over $400 million. So it's not a disaster, but it may not end up being profitable, which I wouldn't be totally surprised by. The good news about Fantastic Four is that even though it's only in its, third weekend, it has already made more than the last couple of Marvel films.
Right.
Right? So the trajectory is this now. And again, at best, Marvel has been hit and miss since Endgame. And I'm being kind. They've had a couple of great things. They absolutely have. I'm not saying they have. They absolutely have had a couple of great things. But they've also had a lot of misses. And right now, for them to put out a Fantastic Four, again, Fantastic Four, which nobody cares about the Fantastic Four in general. They've had 4 movies, if you count the Corman one as well, and that have all been failures. For this to come out and start to put their trajectory going this way again, that's a positive. But it ain't going to be a hit movie. But I also think the fact that it's probably going to get to about $500 million, it might end up losing a little bit of money but it certainly isn't a disaster. Let's put it this way. Anybody who calls Fantastic Four a big hit and anybody who calls Fantastic Four a complete disaster have agendas. They're coming to it trying to create their own narratives around it. The reality is Fantastic Four is certainly not a hit, although there's optimistic ways of looking at it. Mm-hmm. And it's certainly not a disaster, although it very well could end up losing Marvel a little bit of money. Both are true, but yeah, if you see anybody trying to say the Fantastic Four is some big hit, they've got an agenda. If you see anybody online calling Fantastic Four some massive disaster, they have an agenda.
Yeah.
The reality is that it's somewhere in the middle. It's going to probably lose a little bit of money, maybe break even, maybe lose a little bit of money, but there's also positive ways of looking at it, but it ain't a hit. There's no way you can call this thing a big hit. There's just no way to. All right, what's next?
Eddie Burton, I was floored to read that Jurassic World Rebirth has made more than Superman, Fantastic Four, and F1 at the box office.
I don't know why you would be. It's a franchise that lately has consistently made a billion or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Domestically, though, Superman surpassed it.
Superman has made more money than Jurassic domestically. Yes,
domestically, yeah. The reviews were fairly poor, and there was practically no positive word of mouth. What is it that keeps people dinosaurs?
They're the only dinosaur game in town. And listen, even as not great as a couple of the Jurassic movies have been, people generally have fun watching them. Again, I can agree or disagree. That's irrelevant, but people generally have fun watching big dinosaur movies, particularly when the word Jurassic is in them. And they have consistently made, now this one, not going to make $1 billion. And that's the repercussions of it not being that great of a movie. I didn't personally like this one all that much. Although there are moments in it, there's a good 20 minutes or more of this movie that I had a really good time with. Overall, I don't think it's very good. And hence that's why it's not going to make $1 billion like the previous 3 or 4. But, we said all year leading up to it, it's like, do not sleep on Jurassic World. The movies just crank out $1 billion films constantly, at least lately. And so not surprised that it's made a ton, but also because it's not so good, I'm not surprised it's not going to hit $1 billion. But again, it's a big win for them. Huge win for them. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Dildar the Glorious says, I feel bad for John Malkovich. He was going to be Vulture in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 before it got canceled and he got cut from Fantastic Four. It's like he's cursed to not be in Marvel movies. He's also said no to offers too, though.
Yeah, he said no to some things. And look, the Fantastic Four thing, it was going to be a very small part.
Yeah.
Like less than Paul Walter Hauser's Mole Man.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be a very, very small part. So that's not that big of a deal. The bigger regret is that we didn't get to see him in Spider-Man 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bigger regret. I mean, listen, I understood why they pulled the plug on it. I do, all that kind of stuff. But you know what? He keeps coming back and taking the meetings. I would not be surprised if at some point we do get to see John Malkovich in an MCU movie. And you know what? That's the good news. The good news that they cut his part out of this. It was just a tiny role. But here's the good news about that. That means he's still available to play something else.
Yeah.
Maybe even a bigger part. Because if they kept his like 30 seconds, 60 seconds of screen time in this Fantastic Four movie, he's done. You can't put him in any other Marvel film, in any other role. But because they cut it, that means he's still a viable casting for another film at some point. And I think we will see him at some point. All right, what's next?
We got Jay Mickle, who says a PG-13 movie can have only one F-bomb, yet the movie F1 had 2, which gives you an R rating, but F1 didn't. PG movies don't have cuss words, but the recent TMNT movie Ice Cube's Superfly is rolling off cuss words. Did the MPA recently change up the rules?
I don't know. I don't know. Actually, I didn't notice 2 F-bombs in
F1.
In F1.
Huh.
I'm not saying they weren't. I'm just saying I didn't notice. That's all. Listen, the thing is with the now MPA, formerly known as the MPAA, is that it has never truly been a science.
Yeah, it's not consistent.
It's an art, right? They have guidelines, but the MPA also has the liberty to rule one way or another around the rules, right? They can pass down, they can adjudicate a film, and if they feel it warrants it, they can bypass some of their guidelines. That's always been the case, right? So there have been some films that explicitly by the guidelines should be NC-17. But they do other things in the movie. They edit the movie in such a way that they try to soften it a bit. And even though it's still breaking some of the guidelines, the MPA then goes, okay, fine, you got your R rating, right? So it's really more, I think the guidelines are probably still the same, but even with the guidelines, the MPA is going to rule more on how they feel about it. And so I think that's always been the case. All right, what's next?
Scooby Drool with a 2-parter. Oh, and it's about $30 altogether. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Scooby Drool, for supporting us on that level, man.
Yeah. Hello, John and crew. Sorry for not sending questions for a very long time.
You're under no obligation to send in questions.
Can I just say, it's so often the ones that donate in a large way that then apologize for not.
Yeah.
Guys, you owe us nothing.
You owe us nothing. You be very clear. You owe us nothing.
Yeah. And thank you. We should be bowing to you.
Yeah.
It's like, I was busy with family and private matters. On Friday, you answered a viewer's question on it's never too late to do a career change study, a new skill. The way you answered saying it's never too late to do a career change, I changed mine at 34.
You did, yeah?
Yep. I went from finance and accounting to production. Made me feel really happy and gave me positive energy. My family, on the other hand, aren't that positive of me doing a late career change since I'm 47. I still want a career change. It's because it's scary.
Yeah. Well, listen, and if the people around you love you, then they're going to be concerned, right? I have made significant career changes a couple of times in my life, right? The biggest one was clearly shifting from law to go into film punditry, because I'd gone to school, all that kind of stuff. And then only slightly more significantly, leaving my 6-figure paying job to make YouTube videos for myself in my garage. And if you have too many people interpret loved ones having concerns as not being supportive.
Right.
That's not necessarily true. Being worried for you is not a sign of a lack of support.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So just make sure to understand that it's because they care that they're worried.
And we don't always know the circumstances surrounding it.
Yeah, exactly. But again, I would just tell people, don't misinterpret hesitation or concern or apprehension for lack of support. That is them showing you they love you. That is them like me, because if they didn't care about you, they go, whatever, go, like, just do your thing. But they care, right? I've always been a large advocate of taking risks, but taking calculated risks. Make sure you figured out that you have a path to success. Nothing's guaranteed. There is an element of risk, but make sure you figure out a way. It's like, this is how I'm going to become successful. It may work, it may not, but I at least see what my avenue is to success. And make sure you have a game plan. That helps out people a lot. My own parents, who I know fully support me, there have been times I've made career shifts that my parents have been concerned because they're my parents. Of course they're concerned. But if you've got it thought out, and it's not just a wild risk you're taking, but a calculated risk where, yeah, there's a chance you may fail, but you also see the chances of how you're going to succeed. Don't be deterred. Now, I was also lucky that in the sense that when I made my big change, it's particularly my change to leave my job to do it myself, I just happened to be married to somebody who was fully supportive. It was like, damn right, she'd been waiting for me to do it. So I was very lucky that way. But yeah, don't misinterpret people who being concerned for you and worried about you and apprehensive about your change as not being supportive. It's just them being supportive in a more concerned kind of way. But just make sure you figured it out Make sure you've planned it out, understand where things could go wrong, and understand if they're going to go right, how they go right, and understand that you may fail. If you've got all that figured out, to me, then that's a calculated risk, and go for it. Go for it. Listen, my best friend growing up who died a few years ago, said the thing that has always stuck with me. Life is too short to not be happy. Life is too short to not be happy. You're 47 now? Great. This is a great time to make a change. But make sure before you pull the trigger, calculate it out, figure it out, do the science, do the math, figure out your path to success, and be okay with the idea that you might fail. Other than that, go ahead, man. Take your shot. All right. What's next?
Okay. Parker. For the Super Family movie, how cool would it be to see Patrick Schwarzenegger as Superboy? Ex-actor, ex-role, I know. But still, to me, that would be pretty cool. Plus, if Henry Cavill joined the DCU, Ultra Humanite could be a cool option with his native accent.
I'd have to ask, why would it be cool to see Patrick Schwarzenegger as Superboy? Did he do a voice of Superboy in some animated thing?
I don't know.
I don't see the appeal. Don't get me wrong. I liked him in the Boys spinoff, Gen Z.
Right.
Or not Gen Z. What's it called?
No, I thought it. No. Oh, V.
Gen V. That's right. I knew it wasn't
Gen Z is an actual.
It's an actual thing. I liked him in his smaller role in Gen V, but I don't see why there'd be any appeal to see him as Superboy. But it's just what it is. Man, I cannot wait for Gen V to come back. I love that show. Not quite as much as The Boys, but I cannot wait for Gen V season 2. This is going to be great. All right, what's next?
Okay, It Cow. With Nolan tackling the Odyssey, what is a work of literature director combination you'd like to see? For example, I would like to see Robert Eggers tackle the suspense, thalassophobia, that's Fear of Deep Water, and period of Moby Dick, maybe even cast Tamura Morrison.
Ex-actor, ex-movies, ex-actor, ex-role. I will say this, mine is now done. Mine's done. For years and years and years and years and years and years, I've always been, somebody, please. I don't care who, I don't care when, I don't care how. I even know that they did a mini series of it years ago. But somebody please do Shogun. And I got mine. I got it. And it's glorious. Best TV show of the past decade. I absolutely love it. So I really don't have one anymore. Like, that was it. That was the one. To me, was James Clavell's Shogun. And I got it already. So I really don't have any left. That's the one I would have picked.
They did do that one with, wasn't it Chris Hemsworth? And it was Moby Dick. Basically, it was called something else.
Chris Hemsworth and a very young Tom Holland. Mm-hmm. Directed by Ron Howard. And I'm forgetting, I can remember everything about the movie. I'm forgetting the name of it because it wasn't called Dick and it wasn't called Moby. So I can't remember what it was. That was a movie that I was for sure was going to be an Oscar contender. And it actually ended up maybe being my least favorite Ron Howard movie. Yeah, I'll say it is my least. In the Heart of the Sea was the name of it. Thank you, Ding McNally.
Do you remember how there was a little bit of like backlash where because the posters showed the whale was like this behemoth, this monster, like bigger than the ship.
Oh, I can't
So people
remember.
thought it was going to be like this crazy size monster, like behemoth, but it was just the size of a whale. And people
Yeah,
were like,
I
"What?"
don't remember that. I just remember not liking the movie very much.
Yeah.
I wish I did, but I just didn't like it. All right, guys, how many more questions do we have left?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, we have a few. Seven.
You know what? We're going to have to put them off until tomorrow. We'll get caught up tomorrow, guys, on the questions we didn't, because we're already hit 1 o'clock. We got to wrap it up here for now. So, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. And again, Those couple of questions we haven't got to yet, don't worry. We'll start off tomorrow by getting those answered first. So your questions will be answered. Thank you guys for sending in questions. Number one, because you gave us fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Big thanks, of course, to Robert Meyer Burnett, our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys.
My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.